We are here at NAMM 2019. It's now day 4. You are watching a live broadcast from the show from EnterTalk Media as well as from Caffeine TV. Obviously, if you're watching this right now, you're on one of these platforms. If you happen to be on Facebook, you can also check it out on Caffeine TV, because that way you can interact with us live. I'll be looking at my phone to see what your comments are. If you have any questions, I can ask our guests live right here. So we have a very special guest. We have Ari, and she's in a band called Ari and The Alibis.
That's right.
I met Ari last year at NAMM 2018. I happened to be just walking around Sennheiser. I think I was trying to get sponsorship or something, or looking at microphones, and it was completely random that I happened to be there coincidentally, you know, while you were performing, and I was just blown away. Especially by the fact that you were sick at the time, and yet you were still able to really bring the vocals.
Last year was, yeah, that was a rough one.
I was so amazed.
I caught the flu.
Oh yeah.
It was not a good time.
It was not a good time.
It was really awful, but I don't get sick days. I don't get days off.
That's right.
So
that's right.
We made it through.
Yeah. So
we survived to be able to be back, and no flu this time.
I know. You guys sound magnificent this year, by the way.
Thank you.
I went to the Sennheiser booth this year. I was able to see you play. Also, two of my friends were also playing with you in the band.
That's right.
So shout out to Luis, and shout out to Elias. Hello, and thank you so much for connecting me with Ari as well. Tell me, what is the genre of your music? It's quite unique, and it's very attractive, I think, from all different aspects.
That's the first one. Okay. That's the first question. Okay. I don't know is the real answer. I have no idea what kind of music we play. We don't stick to one genre, and everyone comes from such a different place. This is Nicolaas Krastor, my husband and guitar player. Unfortunately, the other 3 members couldn't make it today. They had a flight back to Florida, where we're from.
Yeah.
But we get that question more than anything else.
Yeah.
What kind of music do you play? It's
How
like,
do you classify?
what's your name? What's your band name? Where are you from? What do you play?
Yeah.
And I really don't know. I really don't. It's such a difficult question to answer, because we come from such a unique background, each one of us, and we all contribute to each song, and we do a lot of original music.
Yes.
And so they add their flavor, and then I add mine, and we kind of mix it together, and that's the genre we are, is that, whatever that is in the moment. And it changes, and then we change it again, and then when we get comfortable, we change it again.
I like the sound of that. You play music.
Yeah. We really do.
Yeah.
We just play.
I think that's the best.
We do play music.
When people ask me what genre, I just say most.
Most
genres. Mm-hmm. There's Latin and
there are influences
funk, blues,
from so many things. Yeah.
soul, Motown, just all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot.
Yeah. So Ari, how did things start for you? How did you know you wanted to be a vocalist?
I thought everybody sang. When I was little,
In a way.
I thought everybody sang and played music. I just grew up assuming that everyone was a musician one way or another. They just had jobs.
Yeah.
And then, made music all the time. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a musical family. Nicolaas grew up in a very art-oriented family. We just I think we were brought up in a world where we thought performing arts was expected, or it just was natural, more than expected, just natural. And that's just what you do.
Yeah.
Then I got older and realized that that's not the case for everyone.
Yes.
But I don't think I actively seeked doing this. Mm-hmm. It kind of came to me organically.
Yes.
And I worked in a restaurant. I was a waitress for a really long time.
Yeah.
And at a place where they had live music, which nowadays is a blessing, because not every restaurant has live music anymore. Mm-mm. Unfortunately, you have to kind of find places, venues that will host bands, not just regular bands, but bands that they'll allow to play their original music at.
Yes.
And I worked at a place where my coworkers insisted I get up with the band.
Yeah.
And one thing after another, and little by slowly, years later, I started to fall into it.
We have a question that was very relevant to all of this. So the question was from Emerald Storm, and she would like to know, who was your biggest inspiration?
Musically, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to say my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I was the little kid that got to go to gigs.
Yes.
Not all the time, but, you know, my parents split up, and he had us on the weekends, and he happened to gig on the weekends, so we would go with him, and which is why I assumed everybody just did that. But he's probably the one that showed me that it was possible, that that's what you do, and you just show up and you go play the gig, and if you have to take your kids, then you have to take your kids. But musically speaking, I listened to a lot of both my parents were different musically, and then I had an older brother.
Yes.
So the three of them all introduced me to many, many different kinds of music, between you know, blues and jazz and gospel and folk music and reggae music, and not very much pop in the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the good stuff.
Yeah. Pop can always come a little later. So how did you meet Nicolaas?
Yeah, how did we meet?
Yeah, he's in the band. Nicolaas is the guitar player.
Well, how the whole being in a band thing started was because we'd met like once or twice before, but it's vague.
Yeah.
Just kind of in passing. Well, it wasn't like we live in a small town, so we've crossed paths. But I was in a world music group at the time, and we had talked about getting a singer, and I was walking down Main Street, and I hear this voice singing Besame Mucho at this venue that's like outdoors.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, we're looking for a singer for a like Spanish band, basically.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and she remembers seeing me.
Yes.
And she jumps down and gives me a hug because she thought she knew me a lot better than she did. But I go, hey, do you want to...
I'm a very friendly person.
I go, do you want to sing for my band? And she goes, sure, can I sing in Spanish? I'm like, that'd be perfect. And so she joined the group.
Yeah.
And I hadn't told her that we do original music. And then she had to write lyrics in Spanish. So that was a bit of a learning curve.
It was great.
Yeah, you didn't like that at all.
Not at the time, but I do now.
I mean, it forced you to be creative, right?
I actually loved writing Spanish songs because I was so insecure about writing songs that I thought maybe if I did it in a language that was not the predominant language where we lived, that it was a bit of a security blanket.
Yeah.
So most of the audience didn't speak Spanish, and so I was like, well, they don't know what I'm saying anyway, so I'm good.
Yeah.
And that way I could kind of hide my insecurity in the fact that, you know, nobody really knew what I was saying anyway. So it was fun.
From there, you know, you had this world music, flamenco music, and then how did that go through the evolution over the years to a band with percussion, bass, and trombone, which is quite fun and unique?
That's a lot of questions right there.
Yeah, I know.
No,
But maybe in a short period.
The first thing was, how did we go from playing flamenco-based music to soul and jazz and blues and stuff, and we were the house musicians at this really cool venue, and they closed down. And at that moment, we were just kind of like, we'd been doing some duet stuff, and at the duet stuff, I'd bring a regular steel string guitar, and we'd do some blues and do some Etta James and stuff like that. And it always felt good after a week of playing flamenco stuff and doing all this Spanish music to just like rock out and play some American music.
Yeah.
It's like, this
feels good. Yeah.
So when it came time where we saw that the band we were in wasn't really there was no avenue for it after that, we decided to put together another band, and she very quickly said, you aren't going to be in charge of this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
only because I knew who I wanted to play with.
Yes.
I had in my mind, I knew exactly who I wanted to play my rhythm section. I knew I wanted this person on bass and this person on drums, and I said, you get to pick the fifth person, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And that's
neither of those people are still in the band.
Yep.
However.
But and then so I got to pick the fifth person. And the whole reason, though, why you said that I wasn't going to run this band is I ran the old band like Stalin.
Because you were mean.
I was. But we were tight as hell.
Yeah.
But going forth, I realized
you were the click track.
I grew and realized that I didn't have to be mean to get results.
Yeah.
But that was a lesson I had to learn. And with getting to pick the fifth person, I went out to a jam night, and I was looking for a keyboard player. which makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in with this band that already had a guy playing the guitar parts, and James was up there with his trombone, and we just started locking in on all these horn lines.
Yeah.
And we're looking at each other like,
That's gonna
yeah,
work.
this is nice.
Yeah.
We ended up going outside and talking until like 5 in the morning, and just we're like, yeah,
It's a great
I
sound.
want this.
It really is a
And
great sound. It's unique.
It's such a surprising instrument that delivers such a huge sound.
Yes.
Like it makes the band sound so much bigger.
Yes.
And
James is a very unique trombone player.
yeah, he's a
Yeah.
monster.
And I you might hear that sometimes, like, oh, this is a very unique player. He's absolutely that and more.
Absolutely.
He does things with the trombone that I've never heard other trombone players do. And he often gets compared,
Yeah.
as a lot of us do, because it'll remind you of somebody else that's really great on that instrument, or you're really good about this. So, but he really does do his own thing. It's all James.
Yeah.
And he adds a flavor and an element, and he plays off of us and with us, and the intertwining, the music that we create together is very, very beautiful and delicate in the ways of they all say what they all bring that they
Yeah.
say what they want to say
Absolutely.
without stepping on each other's toes.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I think he's just fantastic and just virtuosic as well in terms of his timing and his technique. It's incredible.
I heard Victor was messing with somebody at a booth when we were playing, and he goes, "Oh, you got to go check out that trumpet player."
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was doing
yeah.
all this high stuff, and the
Yes.
guy walked up and he's like, "That's a trombone."
That's a trombone. I know. Look.
And Vic's standing next to him just laughing.
So I have my own personal question. I've noticed that when you perform, you're barefoot. You know, you're touching the ground with your feet. And what is it? Why is that? Why do you perform that way? Why
I
not
don't want to
high
fall
heels?
down.
Really? That's really it. It's not so that you can tilt your hips better and get better like air.
The truth is, when we're performing,
Yeah.
they move me,
Yeah.
and I dance and I move around a lot, and maybe in a non-conventional way. I don't
Yeah.
just sway left to right, although I do like to sway left and right. But I am moved. I don't decide to move. I just do what feels good because they make me feel good, and so I do move my body a lot, and that includes my feet. My feet have a lot of muscles in them.
Yep.
And I can't move those muscles when they're confined.
Today you were particularly moved. I don't think I've seen you cry on stage. Like
it
you always
happens.
connect, but this time you were really crying.
Yeah.
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 I was like, wow, this. She's
I've been
having
crying a
moment.
lot this weekend.
Okay.
It's tears of joy. Don't get me wrong. I am honestly overwhelmed. I love NAMM.
Yeah.
I love NAMM so much. And I'm just so grateful and overwhelmed with joy
Yeah.
and gratitude and just feeling so blessed to be here and
Yeah.
experience and to be able to contribute to this and to be a part of it
Yeah.
is really, really amazing. I get to look out and I see certain faces and I see the people that are moved. That's moving.
Yes.
Sometimes I take that for granted. Not always, but when I look out and I see that it's impact, that what we're doing is impacting, making a difference, shifting the universe, there's nothing like it in the whole world.
Absolutely.
So I'm terrible at hiding my emotions. I'm an awful liar. I can't tell you. I'm a very raw person, and I'll tell you anything you want to know. I'm not a very private person either, but I'm just kind of an open book. So, when I feel in front of you. I'll be embarrassed in front of you for feeling those things in front of you, but I'm still feeling, and I just can't hide it.
And it comes through in your music as well as in your singing.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say, my personal favorite is "Terrified." I heard it last year. I got to see you perform it again yesterday, and it's absolutely one of the best songs. It just moves me, particularly the chorus. I'm just in tears when I hear it, and the way you emote, it's just fantastic in that song.
Thank you.
So on that note, how would people be able to find your music? Where would they have to go? What are your social links to learn more about you and to get
We're
your
so
music?
easy to find.
Okay.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as far as the social media part, and it's just Ari and The Alibis.
Yep.
And then we've got our music for sale. We're on iTunes. We have it for sale on our website
Yeah.
at Ari and The Alibis
Nice.
And then, is it available somewhere else that I don't know of?
It's on Spotify.
Spotify. We are on Spotify.
We're on any streaming.
And you just search
thing, just
Ari and the
and
Alibis,
you'll find it.
and we're there.
Fantastic. Are you guys touring right now, or
No.
not yet? Okay.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
we're going to be in Scotland the first 2 weeks of April.
April will
Oh,
be.
sweet.
We'll be back up in Canada in July.
All right.
Around the
Hey, Canada.
Ontario area.
Hey, Canada.
Hey, Canada.
Okay, Ontario area. It's a whole freaking province. What else are we doing? That's the main things we have lined up right now is hitting up Scotland, hitting up Canada.
You said we're going to be playing at some other thing.
What? Oh, Gearfest. We'll be at Gearfest.
Okay.
So maybe we'll see you there.
Okay, great.
Maybe. Well,
That'd be great.
Ari, Nicolaas, thank you so much for joining us today
Thank you for
at
having
EnterTalk
us.
Media, and it's always wonderful to have great artists on and to interview and to learn so much about your music. You've been watching EnterTalk Media live on Facebook as well as live on Caffeine TV. Thank you so much for joining in. Please check out their website. They are really wonderful. I really love their music. So thank you very much. And we'll catch you on the next interview.